Icebreaker is the new quadruple launch coaster at SeaWorld Orlando. This attraction was marketed as a family coaster, but it offers a deceptively wild experience with a beyond vertical spike and nearly a dozen airtime moments. And most recently, the height restriction had to be raised to 54 inches, which is much higher than almost every other family coaster out there. I pegged Icebreaker as a sleeper hit for 2022, and I think it delivered. This may be the best coaster Premier Rides has ever built. Find out why in this review. After Blackfish, SeaWorld has been placing a greater emphasis on rides, and specifically roller coasters. SeaWorld Orlando had a top-heavy lineup with 3 Bolliger and Mabillard creations in Mako, Manta, and Kraken. These 3 rides are very popular, but they all have 54-inch height requirements. For younger guests, their only coaster options were Super Grover's Boxcar Derby, which is a Zero Kiddie coaster, and Journey to Atlantis, which is a mock water coaster with only a short coaster section. Icebreaker was announced for the 2020 season, and it looked poised to solve 2 gaps in SeaWorld's lineup. First, it would offer that transition coaster between Journey to Atlantis and the big B&Ms. Second, it would be the park's first launch coaster. But right as Icebreaker started testing, the COVID-19 pandemic hit the United States. This shut the park down for nearly 3 months. Unlike some parks that chose to still open their new rides anyway in 2020, SeaWorld decided to postpone all of the chain's attractions until 2021. Or that's what they said initially. Icebreaker now had a new expected opening date of spring 2021. Flash forward a year and Icebreaker was testing regularly with employees, but it never opened to the public. SeaWorld quietly changed the opening dates for all their new attractions from spring 2021 to anticipated 2021. That verbiage was not a good sign, and SeaWorld ultimately postponed all their new rides yet again until 2022, presumably to maximize the return on investment on their newest attractions. While this was a bummer as a consumer, especially for people who bought the 2020 or 2021 season passes primarily for these new attractions, Icebreaker was worth the wait, and I understand why the park did it. The coaster officially opened a few weeks ago after weeks of pass holder previews. I visited on a mildly busy weekday after the coaster opened to the public, and there were 3 observations on the wait time. First, Icebreaker can have a staggered opening. I heard it opens earlier on weekends, but on the weekday I visited, Icebreaker did not open until an hour after the rest of the park. 2. Icebreaker had several technical issues the day I visited. This is why my footage has a lot of empty trains. I suspect Premier Rides in the park will get these issues sorted out in the long run, given the proven switch track and LSM technology that Premier used on other rides. 3. The estimated wait time outside the attraction was often overestimated. I saw it posted at 30 minutes several times, but my longest wait was just 15 to 20 minutes, and by the late afternoon the coaster was just a 1 to 2 cycle wait. Icebreaker was running 2 trains. Each train has 3 cars with 3 rows, allowing each train to seat up to 18 riders. Unfortunately, these are the same trains used in the newer Premier Ride Skyrocket coasters. These trains are a royal pain to enter, and they can be pretty darn cramped too. The pitch between rows is awkwardly small, particularly in the back row of each car. If possible, I'd avoid those seats altogether. The lap bar seats differently there, and you have far less legroom, which makes the shin guards uncomfortable. In the other rows, the restraints are okay once seated. They're cramped, but not painful. Icebreaker includes the aforementioned shin guards, a lap bar, and most controversially, comfort collars. The lap bars are fine, but I would recommend holding on to them once checked, or else they can ratchet downwards continuously during the coaster, which makes it harder to experience this coaster's airtime. As for the comfort collars, they don't impact the ride experience for me personally. They make it more cumbersome to enter and exit the trains for sure, but they barely touch me during the ride. I know these were an issue for taller guests though. These comfort collars were added at the request of the manufacturer. Premier Rides wanted a redundant safety restraint. Seat belts are challenging to check in the Premier trains once the lap bars are lowered, so the comfort collars were created as an alternative because they clip on the outside of the lap bar. However, they had an unintended consequence with Icebreaker. This coaster was supposed to open with a 48-inch height requirement, and it actually did. However, smaller guests could hit the harness's clip during a sudden stop, So less than 2 weeks ago, the height restriction was raised to 54 inches like the other premier coasters with the comfort collars. SeaWorld hopes this is a temporary measure until an alternate solution can be found, because it really hurts Icebreaker's appeal for the family demographic. Seating was typically assigned, but you could request a row. I thought both the front and back cars were great, but I had a slight preference for the back. Before delving into the ride experience, I want to talk about this coaster's theming, or lack thereof. Icebreaker has an incredible looking entrance with the ice caps, which is fitting given its proximity to the former Wild Arctic ride, and the queue line features some informational signs about the Arctic. But there is zero theming in the station or along the main course. I do like the coaster's general appearance though. The bright orange track really pops, and I love the ride's placement by the water. Once dispatched, you roll forwards onto a switch track. You then slide sideways onto the launch track. The system is ingenious because it allows for multiple train operation on a shuttle coaster. Once it's in place, you blast off backwards with no warning almost immediately. The launch sequence is interesting because it features so many launches, these little humps on both sides, plus the larger top hat and beyond vertical spike. The initial launch is rather weak, which isn't too surprising given it's a backwards one. Plus, I've never found Premier Ride's launches all that strong. You meekly climb over the first hump, getting no airtime, but if you're in the back car, you will get a tiny pinch of weightlessness as you climb up a little bit of the spike. You then hit the second launch, which has more power. It's still not all that forceful, but it does build an appreciable amount of speed. You then rise over the other small hump, which gives weak floater airtime this time. The train then partially climbs the 80-foot or 24-meter tall top hat and stalls out, which gives some good weightlessness if you're in that front car. You then slide backwards over that aforementioned hump, which again offers some weak floater airtime going down. The third launch was barely noticeable, but it did build up a little more speed. Now this time when you head over the backwards hump, you get a decent pop of airtime. Then you ascend the 93-foot or 28-meter tall beyond vertical spike. You don't feel the 100-degree angle in most rows, but you absolutely feel it in that back car because you travel up a majority of the spike. The back car gets some glorious weightlessness. Those towards the front don't get nearly as much. The descent back down to the launches gives weak floater airtime towards the front, and a better pop of airtime towards the back. You then hit that final launch, accelerating the train to its max speed of 52 miles per hour or 84 kilometers per hour. Yet again, the fourth launch is another one that doesn't really feel all that powerful, but Icebreaker then goes berserk from this point. This first half may honestly be a bit too much for a family coaster. As a thrill seeker, I'm not complaining though. This time, the forwards hump delivers a very strong and violent pop of ejector airtime. I think it's the strongest airtime moment in Orlando. You get flung out of your seat no matter where you're sitting. And then you head over the top hat. The front car gets some strong ejector airtime over the top, and some float on the descent. The back car gets the inverse, as they start floating out of their seat at the apex, and then they get nice ejector airtime on the descent. Icebreaker then rips around a fast, slow turn, before zooming over back-to-back bunny hills. These little hills each deliver great pops of ejector airtime. The power of this ride really is shocking given its targeted audience. You then hit the far turnaround. The twist upwards is actually pretty compact and has some decent force to it. While the front will not get any airtime in this element, the back car gets some floater airtime on the subsequent descent. The next element is a wave turn. It may not be as extreme as those on an RMC, as Icebreakers only offers weak floater airtime, but that airtime is a bit more sustained towards the back. However, it's still cool to see more manufacturers trying these sideways airtime moments because they really add something to the experience. The next element is the lone dud on the main layout. You have this twisted hill underneath the top hat. It's way too elongated to offer any airtime. At best, you'll just get a mild head chopper with the supports. You then zip over one final bunny hill. It delivers a pretty good pop of ejector airtime on par with the final hills on a lot of RMCs. You then hop into the brake run, which delivers a decent pop of ejector airtime if you're in that front car, but the train decelerates too quickly for those further back in the train to get any airtime. Icebreaker technically only has 1,900 feet or 597 meters of track, but you basically travel 50% more track than that because of the extended swing launch sequence. So Icebreaker definitely doesn't feel like a short ride, even though it has such a short track length. From the third launch onwards, Icebreaker is really strong pacing. Most elements deliver shocking airtime, particularly that top hat and the smaller bunny hills. I couldn't believe how much power they had for a ride of this scale. The first two launches were just okay, but I think that was necessary as a warm-up for a ride that was intended to be for families. And the ride was glass smooth as well, which is typical for most Premier Rides coasters. So what would I rate Icebreaker? I would give this launch coaster an 8.5 out of 10. I really liked Icebreaker. The ride had way stronger airtime than anticipated. I think this is the best coaster in Orlando for ejector airtime. This coaster is a dynamic ride experience that's very re-rideable too. The ride's biggest flaw is the train design, which I really hope Premier can revisit on future coasters. But I also wish the launches had more oomph to them. But ultimately, this is a very good coaster, and it made my top 100 steel coasters barely. This is neck and neck with West Coast Racers for my favorite coaster from Premier Rides, and I really hope the park can get the height restrictions sorted out so more families can experience this coaster. So those are my thoughts on Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando. What are your thoughts on Orlando's newest roller coaster? Do you think this ride may be the sleeper hit of 2022? Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.